What is it that you want in life? You don't have to answer out loud. You can just type your answer in the comments. Surprisingly enough, the things that people want can generally be broken down into only 8 categories. Now, depending on how you define each of them, you could probably flex it to be 6 or a dozen things, but I'm going to talk to you about 8 things that every human wants, and I want you to think to yourself, do you have it? And if not, is it something that you would typically expect yourself to have or at least have access to? Life. Are you alive right now? Well, if you're watching this video, then yes you are. Do you have your health? The feeling of health can vary from one person to another. Maybe you have the sniffles, but are you terminally ill or an amputee? Probably not, but even then, plenty of people find a way to stay strong and be happy, even with physical limitations. Food. Sleep. On a bit of a tangent, one of my college professors was a retired Marine intelligence officer, and he was previously a Marine infantry officer. He would ask them if they had a good day, and if the answer was no, then he would tell them that if you've at least had the option to eat and sleep in the past 24 hours, your feet are dry, and no one, to your knowledge, is actively trying to kill you at this time, then it is a good day. Because whoever has a good day when somebody's trying to kill you? Physical gratification. This is, adult fun time. Although the rush after a good workout is also a kind of physical gratification. Life after death. Some people believe in an afterlife, and some don't. I'm not going to judge one way or the other. An impressively large number of the latter make a peace with knowing that they have a finite existence, and the former save their souls for eternity. The well-being of our children. Naturally, this can extend to other family members and true friends that you love. Finally, number 8, a feeling of importance. Sigmund Freud called it the desire to be great. John Dewey called it the desire to be important. And William James said, the deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. His exact choice of words is important. He called it a craving, not just a want or desire, but an addictive need. And if you can satisfy someone's need to feel important, then you can compel them to do most anything that is just physically within their being to do. A woman whose husband was a farmer threw a heaping pile of hay on the dinner table one night when her husband and all of his farm hands sat down for dinner, as they had always done. When her husband asked if she'd gone mad, she said, "Why, how'd I know you'd notice anything? I've been cooking for you for the last 20 years, and all that time I ain't heard no word to let me know that you wasn't just eating hay." If you like the southern accent, you're welcome. I'm from Tennessee. If you didn't like the southern accent, sorry, I'm from Tennessee. I actually got made fun of as a kid for not having enough of a southern accent. Anyway, a study found that one of the most common reasons women initiate divorce is a lack of appreciation. And I'm willing to bet that men initiate divorce for vaguely the same reasons as women. They didn't feel appreciated, like they weren't important. Society changes with time. Today, you can be single and have a high social status because you have a lot of Instagram followers or subscribers, so hit that subscriber button. 100 years ago, the family you have would have been a large part of what made you important. The head physician of a psychiatric hospital described one of his patients many years ago. "I have a patient right now whose marriage proved to be a horrific tragedy. She wanted love, gratification, children, and social prestige. But life blasted all of her hopes. Her husband did not love her. He refused to even eat with her and forced her to serve his meals in his room upstairs. She had no children, no social standing. She went insane, and in her imagination, she divorced her husband and resumed her maiden name. She now believes that she is married into English aristocracy and insists on being called Lady Smith. And as for children, she now imagines that she has had a new child every night. Each time I speak with her, she says, 'Doctor, I had a baby last night.' If I could stretch out my hand and restore her sanity, I wouldn't do it. She's much happier as she is now." If people go mad chasing a sense of importance, then imagine what miracles you and I can achieve by giving people honest appreciation this side of insanity. If you've ever heard of someone making a mountain out of a molehill, this is probably why. All they've handled in their lives were smaller, less significant, or less cool things. To them at least. So, they'll treat something going on around them, or that they are responsible for, like it is a Category 5 life or death emergency. This also applies to someone who is sure that their own plan is best, even after everyone else around them brings up good points otherwise. It is a big deal, and their plan is the best one, because they need it to be. One of the first people to be paid a salary over $1 million a year was Charles Schwab, who said, "I am anxious to praise, but loath to find fault. If I like anything, I am hearty in my approbation and lavish in my praise." John D. Rockefeller, sometimes called the wealthiest man of all time, had one of his partners, Edward T. Bedford, lose $1 million for the firm by a bad business deal in South America. Rockefeller may have felt compelled to criticize, but knew that Bedford had tried, and the incident was already over with. So, Rockefeller found something to praise. He congratulated Bedford because he had been able to save 60% of the money he had invested, saying, "That's splendid. We don't always do that well." Flattery will fail you, especially if the person you're talking to is smart. But the difference between flattery and appreciation is really simple. One is sincere, and the other insincere. Most humans spend a solid 95% of their time just thinking about themselves. Those kinds of people are the ones that don't hit the like button. But that's not you. You're better than that. But if you deliberately take a minute to consider the positive attributes and efforts of the people you know or meet, you'll have an easy time sharing sincere appreciation. The next time you like your dinner, take a moment to get that message to the cook, whether that's your husband or somebody at a restaurant. When your child brings home a good report card or builds a magnificent Lego tower, because we all know that Legos are cool as shit, cheer for them out loud. If you mean it, it isn't manipulative. I think that people tend to overstate the real difference between manipulation and influence. An overwhelming majority of the time, the two are one and the same. What people tend to mean when they differentiate between the two is why you were doing it, and sometimes how. If I'm trying to convince you to do something because I think it serves a higher purpose, or the greater good, or because it will be good for you, then it is influence. That's called being a leader. If I'm trying to convince you to do something because it will benefit me, and that is my main driving factor, then yes, it is manipulation. Now, that doesn't mean that asking a friend for a favor is evil, but that also doesn't mean that I couldn't be trying to convince you to do something for pure and altruistic reasons that just also so happens to benefit me as well. Also, blackmail definitely isn't cool. So, it is fine to offer sincere, lavish praise at every clear cut opportunity, because it will make the people around you feel important, providing them with what they need and potentially what you want or need yourself. Speaking of which, has it perhaps occurred to you that you also have a need to feel important? Probably. Does that mean that any good thing that you say or do is really a thinly veiled mask for your own selfish ends? Maybe, but that's what we'll be exploring in the sequel to this video. If you want to make sure not to miss it, please click subscribe and the notification bell next to the subscribe button. I'll also link to the sequel video here once it is released. But if you're just too anxious to wait for that, you can order a copy of How to Win Friends and Influence People, a famous book by Dale Carnegie, and where most of the material in this video came from. Link is in the description. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.